I'm such a failure. These are words I remember so clearly from one of the most competent, talented, and extremely confident young ladies I had met. She was independent, she was strong, she was filled with self-belief, and I recognised aspects of myself in her. But there was one key element that eroded all of these amazing qualities and attributes and skills and ability to succeed that she had within her. She was a self-saboteur. My response to her words, "I'm such a failure," they were, "You're actually incredibly successful at being a failure. So imagine what you could achieve if you put the same energy into being a success." You see, she was participating in a work readiness program I designed and was delivering, and she was embracing everything. She was growing and developing, and she was doing so really quickly. She was not just focused on achieving. It was like she had this hunger for it. And she was succeeding in everything, if not excelling in everything she put her focus and hands to. She was only 2 weeks away from completing the 20-week program. And she was right on the cusp of gaining employment until it all came apart at the seams. She started turning up late, she missed a couple of days, and then she had the final drug test, which was important for the organisations who were going to be employers, and she was positive. This was her failure that I saw as being successful at failing. This amazing young lady is now a woman who has an incredible job and is the most magnificent mother. But what a journey and what pain she put herself through to get there. And why did she do this to herself? Well, I can relate, but in a different area of my life. Similarly, I sabotaged a relationship with one of the most amazing men. And this was well before I met the amazing one that I'm with now. But this man, he treated me with such love and acceptance and care. And I did things to sabotage the relationship with him. Actions that hurt myself, yes, but hurt him way more. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to it, awesome to connect with you. I'm Melinda Cates from I Make a Difference, and I'm a life transition and true self-facilitator. And I walk beside people and guiding them on their journey and reconnecting to their true self and becoming their true self. In today's video, I'm diving into a topic that many people really struggle with, and they often do it without even realizing it, and that is self-sabotage. And I'm going to explore how this powerful process prevents you from achieving the success, happiness, and also receiving everything that you truly deserve. And more importantly, how to break free from its grip, because it almost can strangle you at times. Self-sabotage, well, it can be subtle and yet really blatant. And it's a process where you consciously or unconsciously prevent, destroy, disrupt, dilute, and even damage your own success in areas of your life. Whether it's in your career, or like me in my relationships, your schooling, a conversation, situations, friendships, even what you are being given, and also your personal growth. Self-sabotage has a sneaky way of keeping you stuck. But why do we do it? Why do we sabotage? Why would we intentionally or unintentionally sabotage our own progress, success, achievement, and happiness? Let's break it down. Self-sabotage is when you do or don't do something that ensures you don't achieve or receive or experience the things you've been working toward or being offered that truly honor you, that you deserve. In fact, you reject success, happiness, and even ease and simplicity because deep down within you, you don't believe you deserve it. And I know it sounds harsh, but that's exactly what happens when you self-sabotage. And I've felt the power of that, as I'm sure you have too. The powerful underlying driver behind all of your self-sabotage is a lack of self-worth. There's a part of you that believes that you're not worthy of success, happiness, amazing gifts and experiences that are coming your way. And each time you sabotage yourself, it reinforces this belief that you're not deserving and not worthy. And as you're fully aware of, it's a pattern and a cycle that's really hard to break and to change. It takes some awareness and consciousness. You see, self-sabotage actually feeds on conditioning. Let's take the young lady I worked with who saw herself as a failure and took actions to make sure that she did fail. Well, she grew up in an environment where she was often left to her own devices. So she wasn't that important, she didn't matter. And this included getting herself to school, feeding herself, and being the one that decided what she did each day, including whether she attended school or not. You can imagine what this filled her with. A strong sense of independence, yes, but also significant feelings of a lack of self-worth. She questioned whether she mattered. She questioned whether she was of any level of importance to her family, and she missed out on receiving the attention and support that she rightfully and truly deserved. When she was doing well in any area of her life, she was sabotaged by others on what she was doing. Yep, jealousy. This set up a pattern in her life that she didn't deserve to do well or succeed, something she took on board from others, and definitely subconsciously and possibly consciously, she actually applied these messages and experiences with herself. These are key areas of self-worth. You matter, you're important. And the lack of in these areas that she experienced left her with ingrained feelings of unworthiness, not being significant, and being undeserving. And for me, well, my father rejected me and beat me. So I learned that I was not good enough for the love of a man. Because if my father treated me this way, then he can't have loved me. So why would anybody else? So when I received the incredible love of the man who I hurt and rejected through my self-sabotage in the relationship, it was because I so deeply and painfully did not believe I deserved how he treated me and how he felt about me. Let alone, I didn't know how to receive this amazing way of being cared for, as it was unfamiliar and went against what I believed I deserved, which meant I didn't deserve it. It's so sad that we would even experience these things or feel these feelings that result in us destroying so many wonderful opportunities and experiences in our life, all because of someone else's issues imposed on us. You see, self-sabotage stems from your conditioning. As I've just shared, conditioning of your beliefs and behaviours we learned earlier in life. And these conditioned ways of thinking, you know they're incredibly powerful and they consume you at times. They keep you in a loop, reinforcing the idea that you don't deserve the good things happening in your life. You may have gone through difficult experiences in your past, like the ones I shared with regards to that lady and myself. Whether it was disappointment, rejection, or failure, well, those moments, they shaped how you view yourself and the world around you, and I know you know this. Your mind and your being wants to protect you from experiencing those experiences again, from experiencing that kind of pain again, so it convinces you that it's safer to avoid success, happiness, connection, and receiving stuff. Think about it. What would have happened if the young lady had succeeded and got a job instead of self-sabotaging? She would have separated herself from her family. She would be waiting for people in her life to possibly judge and sabotage what she had. And could she manage that? Could she have risen above it? Essentially, it's saying if you don't achieve or experience wonderful things, then you won't get hurt. But what ends up happening? What happens when you self-sabotage? You prevent yourself from growing, from receiving, and from living life fully. You prevent yourself from expressing yourself fully and experiencing what that feels and looks like. So what are some other examples of self-sabotage? Because you might recognize some of these patterns in your own life. One of the prominent ones, procrastination, where you put off important tasks, convincing yourself you're not ready or it's not the right time. What are you really avoiding? Add to that perfectionism. You delay finishing projects because they're never good enough, ultimately never completing them. As well as, one of mine, you cause conflict in relationships, where you're treated with respect and care, and you possibly believe you don't deserve that. Or, in my case, you may have some issues you need to raise with the other person, and you don't know how to. So instead, you destroy the relationship and reject them before they can reject you. Overworking is another one. You throw yourself into work to avoid dealing with emotional or personal challenges, which ultimately leads to burnout, and you're not happy. Also, there's pushing people away. How many people, when relationships start to deepen and you get closer to the person, they start creating conflict or they distance themselves to avoid the vulnerability that comes with intimacy and commitment because they're scared of being left, rejected, and there's a fear of being hurt. And one I saw many people do in many different forms is they sabotage a job opportunity, even like the lady I shared at the beginning of this video. And one of the ways people did this was you've prepared extensively for the job interview and you're really excited about it, but the night before you forget to set the alarm. As a result, you miss the interview entirely. And I have heard that a number of times. I've also heard people have even mixed up the interview dates, the times, not had enough money for the bus, or they didn't have enough petrol in the car, and so they were delayed and got there late, and many other reasons. On the surface, it seems like a really innocent mistake, but underneath, this is a form of self-sabotage. The anxiety about potentially getting the job and the responsibilities and the changes you have to go through and the pressure that can come with it can cause you to subconsciously avoid the situation. Missing the interview? Well, it becomes an unconscious way to avoid the fear of success, or if you're scared and have a pattern of this, the fear of rejection. And it reinforces that you're not truly worthy of the opportunity. These are just a few examples of how self-sabotage can manifest. And in each one of these scenarios, you are essentially preventing yourself from receiving or experiencing the very things you absolutely deserve. But here's the thing. At the root of self-sabotage is the belief that I'm not worthy and I do not deserve this. Whether it's success, whether it's love, recognition, or abundance, or a job, if you don't believe you're deserving, you'll consciously do something to push it away. You may be asking yourself, why would I believe that I don't deserve something so wonderful? Well, if you've never experienced it before, it's hard to believe you deserve it now and you don't know what to do with it. Or if you have experienced it, but it was taken away from you like love or success, you might not believe it can be yours again. The fear of disappointment and hurt, it becomes far more stronger and overriding than your desire to succeed and to experience happiness. So, how do you begin to change this? How do you stop self-sabotaging and stop sabotaging your own success and happiness and what you truly deserve? Two things you can do to start with is identify the self-sabotaging patterns that you actually have. So going through some examples and being able to recognize them raises your awareness. Because self-sabotage thrives in the subconscious and it goes unnoticed. And by bringing it into your awareness, you can start to see the patterns and catch yourself before you act on them. But you can also ask your questions like, why did I put that opportunity off? Or why am I avoiding that conversation? Even, why do I feel uncomfortable receiving compliments or praise? Because some people actually run away from those. Awareness is powerful because it gives you a choice. Because once you're aware, you can choose a different response. And it gets quite simple. I know it takes mindfulness to change that, but it does get simple. Instead of reacting out of fear or habit and self-sabotaging, you can stop, process the emotions, and make a conscious decision to act differently. So what can you do to overcome self-sabotage? Here's a couple of key strategies for doing so. 1. Identify the areas of your life where you have patterns of self-sabotage, as I mentioned earlier. 2. Be aware of the triggers. Notice when you're most likely to sabotage yourself. Is it when things are going really well? Is it when you're happy? Is it when you're getting recognition? Is it when you're on the verge of success? 3. Recognize where the pattern stems back to and what your lack of self-worth is about. What's the experience it comes from? 4. Take steps to affirm and reinforce your worth. This can be done through you actually being conscious of accepting a compliment without deflecting it or running away. Or finish a task without criticizing yourself and instead acknowledge yourself. Then the 5th step, embrace your vulnerability. Understand that stepping into your worthiness does involve discomfort. It can be unfamiliar. Accept that the vulnerability is part of your growth. And the vulnerability is purely, as I said, unfamiliarity in some areas and a fear of judgment in others. Don't take on others' judgments of you. And be kind to yourself and acknowledge yourself instead of judging you. In the 6th area, identify where you have succeeded, where you have been happy, where you have received, and what you did that supported you to experience this, because that's where you acted on what you did deserve, and this is your foundation to operate from. And the 7th area is seek some support, because sometimes you need an outside perspective to give you information that you're not seeing, and it helps you break these patterns. It could be a coach, a mentor, or a trusted friend. Do reach out and ask for that help because it's important. Self-sabotage is a pattern, a process that can be unlearned because you learned it. And it does take awareness, but it also takes acceptance, kindness, time, and focus. But by becoming aware of your behaviors, questioning what you're doing, and making conscious changes, you can break free from the cycle. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of happiness and love and all the amazing things that are given to you that you deserve. The only thing standing in your way is you allowing your past lack of self-worth to dominate you. You can strengthen your connection to your intrinsic, limitless self-worth, and you can know you are deserving. So take a step today and acknowledge the ways you may be self-sabotaging yourself and commit to yourself internally to make a change, because you do deserve the wonderful things in life. If what I've shared here on self-sabotage has helped you understand it a bit more and given you greater insight into yourself, then do like and subscribe. And if you want to explore your self-sabotaging further, then you may want to check out my free workbook in the link below. Do take a moment and share in the comments below where you may be self-sabotaging and what you're going to do to commit to yourself. Because when you do put it out there and write it down, you're actually making a stronger commitment to yourself to make those changes. When you only keep it internally, then you can run and hide and even self-sabotage your commitment to changing your self-sabotage. It is awesome to journey with you, and I look forward to you and I continuing our journeys together.